Why the New York Giants will win the Super Bowl in 2019. Make sure to stay tuned to find out why. What's up, everybody? It's JT Sports. I'm back, you guys, with another video. This video, I'm continuing my series talking about why every team will win the Super Bowl in 2019. In this video, we have the New York Giants. Why the New York Giants will win the Super Bowl in 2019. So before I begin, please like the video and subscribe to the channel because I upload NFL videos and NFL content daily, and it took me a very long time to find out facts and research to figure out why the New York Giants will win the Super Bowl, and it was very hard, but I found a way. So please subscribe to the channel. It just shows a lot of appreciation to the time and dedication that I put in to making this video, because it took a long time making this video, but not as long as it took making a video for the Washington Redskins. So the New York Giants. Let's start with Eli Manning. Eli Manning is a guy who is nearing the end of his career. The offensive line kind of held Eli Manning back a little bit the first half of the season, but in the second half of the season, the offensive line got a tad bit better, and Eli Manning was able to perform a little bit better. And last season, he wasn't that bad, in my opinion. I think he was okay. But this year now, with Daniel Jones being there, I think Daniel Jones is going to set a fire under Eli Manning, and he's going to play a lot better. He has an improved offensive line, which is the first thing that I'm going to talk about. This is probably the best offensive line on paper that the New York Giants have had in a couple of seasons. You got left tackle Nate Soldier, you got left guard Will Hernandez, who a lot of people really aren't talking about it, but Will Hernandez was probably one of the best rookie offensive linemen last season behind Quentin Nelson. So Will Hernandez had a very solid rookie year. He was very good. And then I don't know who they're going to end up starting at center. You got right guard Kevin Zeitler there, who is a pretty solid offensive guard. He's going to be able to give them some production there. And you got right tackle Mike Remmers, who they got in free agency when he got waived by the Minnesota Vikings. So this offensive line, you can't debate that this offensive line isn't better than how it was in 2018 and how it has been the last couple of seasons. So this is the best offensive line they have had in a while. So they have a solid offensive line. I think this group should be able to hold up pretty okay. It's going to give Eli Manning a lot more time to throw. He's not going to be back there having to rush passes and things like that, and that's going to benefit Eli Manning. Then also we got to talk about the receiving core. So the receiving core has been depleted as of the time that I'm recording this video. In training camp, they've been suffering injuries. Golden Tate, he's suspended for a couple of games. Sterling Shepard, he's battling the injury, so we don't know if he's going to be able to go or not, when he's going to be able to be ready this season. But whenever those guys come back, they're going to add to this New York Giants offense. They are pretty solid receivers. Golden Tate isn't Odell Beckham, but he can give you he can be at least 60% or 50% of what Odell Beckham was. Obviously, we know that Odell Beckham cannot be replaced, but Golden Tate can give you a little bit of what Odell Beckham is able to do. He's very good when it comes to making plays with the ball in his hands. This dude's yards after catch, I believe, is very, very high. He can give you a lot of those big plays, like what Odell Beckham was able to give you, those 60-yard touchdowns and things like that. So Golden Tate is a guy who can give you a little bit of that when he's able to come back from his suspension. Sterling Shepard is a pretty solid receiver as well. So it's going to be interesting seeing him step up for the New York Giants at that number 2 wide receiver this year. And then you also got Darius Slayton, a rookie wide receiver out of Auburn. Very, very interesting seeing Darius Slayton, because at Auburn last season, he had a pretty disappointing season. And that was because he was held back by the talent that he had on his team. Jarrett Stidham wasn't really able to give him the ball that much, because Jarrett Stidham didn't really have that good of an offensive line and didn't really have that much of a running game. So that kind of held back Darius Slayton a little bit during his time at Auburn. But I think Darius Slayton could end up having a pretty solid rookie year for the New York Giants. I think he can have a rookie year that a good example that I'm trying to think of a rookie wide receiver who had a pretty solid rookie year. I say that he could end up having a rookie season like a guy like a DJ Moore or something like that. A pretty solid impact, not a big impact, but a pretty solid impact. I think we're going to see Darius Slayton end up having that kind of a rookie season if the New York Giants are able to find a way to get him involved in the offense. He has a lot of good traits about him, and then you got tight end Evan Ingram, who is a very solid tight end when he's able to stay healthy. So the New York Giants offense is going to be basically built around Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is going to be the guy who is going to win games for this New York Giants offense, and they're going to want to try to get this guy 30 touches a game, either if it's giving him the ball, handing him the ball off, or throwing the ball to him in the backfield. They're going to have to find ways to get this guy 30 touches a game. I think that's going to be the recipe that Dave Gettleman was kind of aiming for. They kind of want to rely more on the running game this year. And also when you have a guy like a Eli Manning or Daniel Jones, whoever starts at that quarterback position, you're going to want to have to rely on the running game because you don't really want Eli Manning or especially Daniel Jones having the ball in their hands and asking them to do too much, because when you ask them to do too much, then they end up turning the ball over. So to win a Super Bowl, you don't really have to have a great quarterback. You don't even have to have a good quarterback. You just have to have a quarterback who's average or good enough. And Eli Manning is good enough to help the New York Giants win the Super Bowl, in my opinion, if he's able to have a solid running game, which he will be able to, and the offensive line is able to hold up in protection. And even Daniel Jones is really interesting. If they're able to get Saquon Barkley those 30 touches, it's going to end up not having as big as a load on Daniel Jones if he does end up becoming the starting quarterback as well. And also the offensive line should be able to hold up pretty solid as well if Daniel Jones ends up being the starting quarterback as well. So that's a little bit of the reasons on the offensive side of the ball why the New York Giants can win the Super Bowl this season. On the defense side of the ball, specifically up front, I think a lot of people are overlooking how they are up front. We look at the defensive line. That defensive end, you got B.J. Hill, you got Chris Slayton. Chris Slayton was a guy who I was very high on coming out of the University of Syracuse. He's very good stopping the run as well. Very big and athletic, very explosive. So he's a guy who I'm going to be looking out for out of Syracuse. Then on that defensive tackle position, you got Dexter Lawrence. They drafted him in this year's draft out of Clemson. A guy who a lot of people thought was just going to be able to, was a little bit one-dimensional. A lot of people just thought he was just a good run stopper. But this guy is actually very good rushing the passer as well. So a lot of people thought he was just a two-down player and he can't stay on the field on third down because he's not really that effective rushing the passer. But he actually is. He was very solid getting at the passer during his time playing for Clemson. And I think he should be able to replicate that success at the NFL level. And then you also got Devin Tomlinson there. And you got R.J. McIntosh there. So you have a pretty okay defensive line there. I think their defensive line is being a little bit overlooked. I think their defensive line is going to be very, very good this season in 2019, or at least solid. Then at the linebacker position, here's where things get interesting, because I think the linebacker position is going to be able to be very solid. I think the linebacker position might end up being the best part of their defense this year. You got linebacker Lorenzo Carter. A lot of people have been very high on Lorenzo Carter. He has a lot of potential, and it's going to be eager to see what he does this year if he ends up starting at that linebacker position for the New York Giants. Then you also got Alex Ogletree. He's okay. You got B.J. Goodson. You got Marcus Golden. It's going to be interesting seeing Marcus Golden. I think he can end up being a pretty solid linebacker. He's pretty solid there. And then you got O'Shane Zimes. He's basically going to be an edge rusher for the New York Giants. He was one of the best pass rushers coming into this year's draft, and one of the best pass rushers in all of college football last season. I think he was like top 5 in the NCAA and total sacks or something like that. So this guy is something who can get after the passer, and I think he's going to end up having a better rookie season than what a lot of people expect out of him. I think he can end up having 5, maybe 6 sacks this season for this New York Giants defense, which is pretty solid for him to be a rookie. So I think he has a lot of potential there. Then at that secondary, cornerback, I think they're going to end up starting a lot of rookies at their cornerback position. I think DeAndre Baker ends up starting. I think we can see Julian Love end up starting there. Corey Ballantyne is probably going to end up starting somewhere down the season. So they have young cornerbacks who have a lot of potential and are pretty solid. So if these cornerbacks can do good enough it covers, this New York Giants team can end up winning the Super Bowl. And because of New York Giants, I think the New York Giants will be a little bit better up front than what a lot of people are giving them credit for. This is also going to help out the cornerbacks as well, because when you're good up front, then that lessens the times that the cornerbacks have to stay in coverage and things like that. So if this defensive line holds up, this cornerback and this secondary group could end up being very solid. Then when you look at the safety position, their safety unit is a little bit, their safety unit is pretty talented. You got Jabril Peppers, who they got in that trade when they got rid of, when they made that trade in the Odell Beckham trade there. Jabril Peppers had a very phenomenal season for the Cleveland Browns. He's a guy who can do everything. He can tackle like a linebacker. He can do all kinds of things. So he's going to be a big addition to this New York Giants defense, especially considering that they lost Landon Collins to the Washington Redskins. And you got Antoine Bethea. Now, although Antoine Bethea, he's really up there in age, he's a guy who's really been around the block. He's still able to be pretty productive. He's a pretty solid safety despite his age. So don't let his age fool you. He's still a guy who can be pretty productive there. So basically, if this defensive line is able to play up to the expectation that I think they're able to play up to, then this defense can most definitely be very solid. And then totally, I know that a lot of people are going to be like, you really think New York Giants can win the Super Bowl? But for the sake of this video, let's just have a clean mind and let's be optimistic. If you have a good rushing attack, you want to be able to chew up time possession. You want to keep the opposing team's offense off the field, and you want to keep their defense on the field, and you're going to tire out the defense, and you're going to have long possessions, long drives, and that's also going to help out your defense, because your defense is going to have long breaks and things like that, so it's going to keep those guys fresh. So if the New York Giants are able to do some things running the football, I think that this New York Giants team could end up surprising a lot of people, maybe find a way to make it to the playoffs. And then if you make it to the playoffs, who knows? Miracles do happen. We've seen the New York Giants do it so many times. A lot of times that the New York Giants end up winning the Super Bowl, nobody really expected them to win the Super Bowl. So who knows? So let me know what you guys think about this video down in the comment section down below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.